the Sig P322. Let's check it out. Sig has just introduced their P322. It's a 22 long rifle pistol. It has a 20 round magazine capacity, which is the biggest in the industry. Taurus introduced their TX22 with a 16 round capacity, which was really big at the time because for decades, 10 rounds has been the standard for 22 long rifle semi-automatics. Sig designed this pistol from the ground up, not going from earlier designs, and they produce it right there at the Sig facilities. It's a very lightweight, handy pistol, but one of the things I love about 22 is that it's just inexpensive to shoot, it's low recoil, it's low muzzle blast. It's a great firearm to take first-time shooters out, and also just to spend a day at the range. Just gives you a lot of trigger time. And there are a lot of other uses for 22, and there's a reason why 22 is extremely popular all over the world. And we really appreciate Gun Zone Deals for sending the P322 for this review. Guys, they give us access to a lot of different guns for us to bring to you to show you what's out there. The Sig P322. This is something that Sig in the past has had some issues with, especially with their Mosquito. But this is a from the ground up design for a 22 long rifle rimfire pistol. Made by Sig, designed by Sig, and there's a lot of really neat features about this gun. Now, it's kind of similar to the Sig P320, which we have right here. This is the 9mm, and of course this has been adopted by the U.S. military. And so there's a lot of interest in Sig firearms. But to me, when I first saw it, I thought it really favored the P365 or the P365 XL. But honestly, it's just a totally different pistol. It just has the Sig look that they've been producing here lately. And it's a really nice looking firearm. Now let's go ahead and check to make sure the gun's unloaded. We're going to drop our 20 round magazine, which is the highest in the industry. And you do get 2 magazines with it. They are polymer, but they're really easy to load. They even come with a loader. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then we'll check the chamber, and the gun is empty. Now, like all 22 pistols like this, I mean, they're very light alloy slide. So, it just allows for the 22 to function and to cycle. And you can see there is a very generous mag well. I mean, it is large. But one of the things about this large mag well, there are actual stops inside the mag well to keep the mag from over-inserting. And that's based on the base plate of the magazine. So when you pop them in there, you're not going to over-insert your magazine. An anodized finish on the slide. And again, it is an alloy type material. And you can see that it is optics ready, fiber optic sights, front and rear. One thing that's really unique though about this front sight in particular is there's a little detent that you push down to pull this rod out. So there's no pushing it in, melting it on the front. Really easy to change these in and out. Here on the back, fully adjustable, and it's encased, so it's going to keep these from breaking. That's one of the things about fiber optic is they can be vulnerable to getting hit and they can break. But these sights, excellent sight picture, 3-dot, has serrations on the back of the sight. Now, of course, the footprint for this sight would be your Sig Romeo series sights. They'll go right on. And, typically I like to review the gun without all the extras. I just want to show it as is. But this is definitely something that's huge right now with a lot of people going to that red dot sight. The frame is a nice polymer frame that is similar to a lot of your Sig designs. Same kind of texturing. And front, back, rear, I mean, it covers the entire part of the pistol. There is a slight finger groove right here. Guys, it really feels nice in your hand. A lot of times 22s can feel a little small. You'll notice that it does have a flat trigger, and that's really become popular. A lot of the geometry of bringing that straight back instead of that curved trigger where it pivots. Now, if you don't like the flat face trigger, this is actually a trigger shoe, and it does come with an optional curved trigger. And it's really easy to pop out. It's just on a nub here, and you get behind it, and you can pop it out, pull it off, and it's really simple. But I'm a big fan of the flat face trigger, so I'm going to leave it that way. And also, one thing that Sig says is that you can dry fire these pistols without any problems. In fact, they've already tested it up to 5,000 rounds of dry firing without any deformation to the striker or to the chamber or right where the firing pin comes out. You have a frame safety right here, this ambidextrous. Of course, we'll need to make sure the gun is cocked to employ it, but you can pop those up. Your slide stop right here, and then we have our takedown lever, which will demonstrate when we break it down. We have a 3-slot Picatinny rail, nice ample trigger guard. The magazine release is typical for Sig, that triangular shape, and it just drops those magazines out. It doesn't really jettison the mags out, but it does pop them out, and you can get to them. Serrations on the front and the rear of the slide, of course with 22 and that really light spring, really easy to bring those back. Now the barrel is steel, it's 4 inches in length, and it is threaded. And you have your flats right here to be able to take that thread protector off. And it comes with an adapter with 1/2 by 28 threads. So you can throw on your favorite suppressor. Very easy to do. But yet, if you don't want those threads hanging off, you know, you can go with that flush fit. And it does have bevels at the end. It's going to make it really nice to put into holsters. Sig is offering a holster right now, and they're also offering 25-round magazines. And these will extend just a little bit past your grip, but it gives you those extra 5 rounds. And the magazine catch is reversible to the other side, and you have ambidextrous controls with your slide stop and your manual safety. But one of the guns that really pushed the envelope was the Taurus TX22. This one holds a 16-round magazine, and these have been excellent firearms. I mean, I have really enjoyed shooting this. I enjoy the extra mag capacity, but it doesn't have the optics plate like the standard Sig, but you can get the competition model that actually has a mount up front. It's a very different looking pistol. You know, we've done reviews on both of these. And this is just an excellent little 22 pistol, and it's more budget priced. But one of the things Sig has done is kind of changed things up and increased a lot of the features on this pistol. And of course, one big one is your optics plate is in the standard position. But with the TX22, you know, it's just straight out. And I really like the optics versions. They're very easy to get on target. They're actually a little more accurate. But, you know, guys, you have to really get used to it. Now, one of the things especially about the P322 is that Sig put this pistol through the same testing they do with their standard duty and combat pistols. So the same kind of qualifications, the testing, the salt test, the mud test, everything that brought this to the U.S. military has been done with the Sig P322, and it's held up extremely well. So far they've put in one pistol over 24,000 rounds through it, and they're continuing to push that even higher without a malfunction. And so the same excellence that you're going to get with your standard Sig pistols, you're going to get with the Sig P322. Like all 22s, you're going to have to find that sweet spot. Typically, higher velocity ammunition runs really well in these. If you get to the really low-powered 22, you know, it's hit or miss sometimes. But once they break in, typically, the range of different type ammos increases. And I've seen that over and over, just like with the Walther P22. They were very picky at first, but after they broke in, I mean, I could shoot anything in that pistol. And it's going to be the same with this. I have seen some people that were talking about a few malfunctions. But overall, these have been proven to be very reliable. Now, we haven't taken this one to the range yet, so we're going to find out when we get down there. Weight on the Sig P322, 17.2 ounces. Weight on the Sig P320, 15.8 ounces. It's a considerable difference. As far as the trigger goes, there's some take up with some resistance. But once you get to a certain point, it fires. It's a nice crisp break. It's a little mushy. Reset. It comes out a little bit. But man, that snap is really nice. But there's a lot of pressure coming up to it. Check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 3 pounds, 1.7 ounces. 3 pounds, 3.1 ounces. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. This is in their bulk pack, and this is some of their high velocity. Very similar to the CCI mini mags. This stuff works great. Of course, we've got 20 round magazines, so got plenty to load. I left the loader at the shop, but still, it's fairly easy to load anyway. Man, I like that 20 rounds. We loaded up 500 rounds of bulk Fiocchi high velocity 22. It's going about 1,250 feet per second. Man, we burned through every bit of that without any malfunctions. I mean, it just runs. Now, one of the things about 22 is that you have to find those loads that are just right for that pistol. Sometimes you can get really high velocity loads or hyper velocity, and they can cause issues. Sometimes you can get really low velocity ammunition, and they just won't cycle the firearm. So with any 22, you need to check that out. But typically with good standard quality, high velocity ammo, you're not going to have any problems. And really this would be great with a red dot optic, and you can replace it. Again, we like to show these as they come in the box, and then you can add the different things you want to, just like the suppressor. We could show the suppressor, but really I like to show it as most people are going to find this gun and they're going to shoot it. Now, the fiber optic sights are excellent. They're that green, they glow, they allow enough light to come in. I was concerned especially about the back sight since it's kind of shrouded over, but it didn't affect the illumination of the fiber optics. And guys, it just shows up extremely well. The flat face trigger is nice. I mean, it gives you that good geometry coming straight back instead of the curve. But if you want, again, you can throw on that curved trigger. This thing is very soft to shoot. Of course, it's 22. Light recoil on the slide because the spring is, really light. The ergonomics, it gives it a nice full feel like you're shooting a full-size handgun. Yet it's pretty thin. Fiber optic sights really stand up well. Those green sights just glow. Of course, putting a red dot on here, that is really where you get the accuracy and you get those quick follow-up shots. But even with the fiber optics, it's really nice. Controls are nice. Flat face trigger, I really like it. Just really allows you to bring it back. The geometry is more of a pull than a curve. Overall, this gun is just excellent. And I'm a big fan of 22. It's good to take it out to the range, especially with new shooters or those who are recoil sensitive, and get them started with 22 and then move them up. And I've seen it over and over. By the time they get up to 9mm and they start moving even past that, they're really enjoying themselves. You pull out a 357 Magnum on the first round and you've lost a shooter. So great to have a little 22 around. Again, a little bit more quiet, a little less recoil, and really just a lot of fun. And so far, we've put about 500 rounds through this gun without any malfunctions. It just runs. Guys, I'm definitely a fan of the centerfire 9mm, 45, 10mm. I like power. But there's something about taking a 22 out to the range that's just very relaxing. Again, low recoil, low report. It's fairly inexpensive to shoot. And so it really allows you to get a lot of trigger time, manipulating the controls, and really get your sights lined up. That's one of the big things about any firearm, especially handguns, is being able to get those sights lined up and getting a real accurate group. If you can do it with 22, you can do it with 9mm. And it kind of gets the recoil sensitive person, it gives them just something to really kind of just think more about the sights instead of the recoil. And that even goes with seasoned shooters. It's just great, again, to get 22 out. And 22's been around for so long, and there's just so many different options with 22. And then, of course, with the suppressor, which we didn't show, putting a suppressor on here is a no-brainer. It's really quiet, a lot of fun, and I know my neighbors would really enjoy me shooting this gun with a suppressor. But even with 22, it's fairly quiet. And it's much better than bringing a 44 Magnum out here and ringing the bell. Now for disassembly, Drop your magazine, check the chamber. Take your takedown lever and just push it into the up position. And then once you do that, you can bring your slide back and lift up at the back and pull it out. It is a fixed barrel design, which typically leads to really good accuracy. Of course, you have your recoil spring that's embedded here. You have to take off your thread protector to get the spring off if you need to, but that's not really a big deal. There are flats here to be able to pull this off. But you can see it is hammer fired. This is a single action only pistol. Once it's racked, the hammer goes into the rear position, just like your 1911. It's not a double single action. Also in the slide, very well finished, and that anodizing shows up any imperfections. And so you can see, I mean, this is up to SIG quality. There's also a hole right here in the slide to be able to get to your front sight if you want to switch that out. Also, the chamber has been fluted to increase reliability. And again, with 22, there's a lot of variations. So it's just one of the steps that SIG took to make sure this is reliable. And the chassis inside is stainless steel, and it's in a polymer grip. There's nothing that indicates that this can be removed very easily, but I do see pins here that look like they can be pulled out. But it's possible this chassis can come out and that you can put other grips on it, but there's no indication with SIG. Now, there is your serial number right there, which is a plate attached to the chassis system. And for reassembly, just bring over your slide, get to that position in the slide that mates to the frame, and then it goes right back into place. Drop down your takedown lever, and you're ready to go. It's really nice that you can dry fire this, because most rim fires you really don't need to dry fire. As far as price goes, pretty much 400s up to about 450. At Guns on Deals, they're running these for $399. Guys, I highly recommend having a 22 pistol. I mean, the low recoil, the fairly inexpensive ammunition, it gives you a lot of trigger time without breaking the bank. But to me, one of the biggest advantages of a 22 pistol is taking first-time shooters out and letting them experience shooting without the fear of the recoil and with all the muzzle blast, and it just makes for a really relaxing day at the range. That's one of the things I love about 22 long rifle. And then go in with that 20 round magazine. I mean, it gives it a lot of capacity. So you're not sitting there loading your magazines, you know, continually. It gives you a little more advantage. Of course, this gun is full featured with optics ready, with suppressor ready. I mean, whatever you want, you can put on the light. I mean, you can deck this out to look really tactical. But for self-defense, move up to something a little more advanced in caliber. And we really appreciate the guys over at Guns on Deals for sending the Sig P322. They're a big help to us on the channel and really allows us access to a lot of different firearms. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Sootch00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Guys, I highly recommend. Has a very fundamentally changed pistol. It's very fundamental, yeah. And it has that SIG design with the grip, and I'm going into stuff that really, you know, I'm going to talk about in a minute. So I don't want to talk about it twice or 3 times or 4 times, and you people are going, what the crap is he doing? I don't even know what I'm doing. I got my head cocked. I got my head cocked like this. That'd be kind of cool. And a big shout out to Nate at Guns on Deals. Thumbs way up.